Okay, Algebra 2, we're going to work on some more simplifying, multiplying, and dividing rational expressions, and we're going to focus on our factoring skills. So this numerator, the name of the game is you cancel factors, not terms. When there is addition and subtraction going on, these are terms. It is not okay for you to cross out these x squares. You have to factor them first, and then you're allowed to cancel factors. So in the numerator, I'm going to make my ACB or product sum chart. So A times C, I need factors of negative 24 that add up to negative 2. So I know that negative 6 and 4 multiply and equal negative 24, and they add up to negative 2. Since your A is 1, you can just put these factors right in there. You don't need to do anything else. The denominator. You always need to take out a GCF first if you can. So 2 and 72, they have a factor of 2 in common. So I'm going to factor a 2 out of that. And that leaves me with x squared minus 36. Either you remember how to factor the difference of squares, or you need to put in a filler 0 there. X squared plus 0x minus 36. So you're asking yourself, what are my factors of negative 36 that add to 0? And you get negative 6 and positive 6. So this factors is x minus 6, x plus 4 on top. And then you have 2x plus 6, x minus 6 on bottom. These are all the steps that I need to see on your homework and on a test or quiz to give you full points. If I don't see you factoring these down step by step, then I cannot give you the credit that you deserve. The factors of x minus 6 on top and bottom, I can divide out so they cancel each other out. The factors left on top stay on top. The factors left on bottom stay on bottom. This is my good final answer. Don't multiply and distribute and tell me that the denominator is 2x plus 12. Number 2. So the numerator. You always need to think GCF first. Is there a GCF that you can factor out? Yeah. In the numerator, you need to divide or factor a 3 out of that. And when you do, you get an x squared minus 3x minus 10. In the denominator, I need factors of negative 5 that add to negative 4. So that's negative 5 and 1. So I know that my denominator is going to factor as x minus 5 and x plus 1. All right, now let's go back to the numerator, this x squared minus 3x minus 10. I need factors of negative 10 that add to negative 3. All right, so 2 times 5 is 10. It adds to negative 3, so that means the 5 has to be the negative 1. So I'm going to keep my 3. I'm going to rewrite this numerator as x plus 2, x minus 5. The denominator I'm going to rewrite as x minus 5 and x plus 1. My x minus 5s cancel each other out. I don't have any other common terms in the numerator and denominator. So my final answer is 3 x plus 2 over x plus 1. Good final answer there. All right, number 3. Now we're going to multiply. We multiply our fractions straight across. So when I multiply my numbers together, I get 8 times 3 is 24. And across the numerator, I'm going to multiply my variables. And when I do that, I add them. And I'm also going to go in alphabetical order. So I don't have any other a's. So I'm going to have just a to the fourth. And then when I multiply my y's, there's an invisible 1 on that one. So y to the first times y to the second. You add your exponents, and I get y to the third. And in the denominator, let's see, 15 times 2 gets me 30. And then I have ay. All right, so what is the biggest number that divides into 24 and 30? And I'm going to go with 6. So 24 divided by 6 is 4, and 30 divided by 6 is 5. This a and that y, they have an invisible 1. And when you divide variables, you subtract exponents. So I'm going to cross the a to the first out on bottom, and I'm going to go 4 minus 1 on top. And then I'm going to do the same thing with my y's. All right, so what all do I have left in the numerator? I have a 4. 4 minus 1, I have a to the third, y to the second on top, and it looks like I just have that 5 down in the denominator. So that is my good final answer. Number 4. So when we multiply, we add our exponents and then the numbers multiply. So 3 times 10 equals 30, AB. And then the denominator, I'm going to multiply my numbers first. So 2 times 9 is 18. And then I'm going to put this in alphabetical order. So I only have that a to the fourth. So I'm going to rewrite that there. And then b to the first times b to the fifth. You add them and you get b to the sixth. All right, let's simplify the coefficients. What's the biggest number that divides into 30 and 18? So I'm going to divide a 6 out of the top and bottom. 30 divided by 6 is 5, and 18 divided by 6 is 3. When I subtract my variables, I always go big minus little. So in this case, since the bigger exponent's on bottom, my answer will show up on bottom because that's where I have the most variables. Same thing with the b's. I only have 1 on top and I have 6 on bottom. So I always go big minus little because that saves me the trouble of dealing with negative exponents. So what do I have left in the numerator? I just have that 1, 5. And in the denominator, I have a coefficient of 3. A to the 4 minus 1 gives me a to the third. And b to the 6 minus 1 gives me b to the fifth. So I wanted to do both 3 and 4 because I wanted you to see that wherever the biggest exponent is, that's where your answer stays. In number 4, the biggest exponents were down in the denominator, and they stay in the denominator. So make sure you aren't just, for some reason, pushing everything up to the numerator. All right, let's see. I'm going to do number 5. So on number 5, factor anything that can be factored, and that includes the GCF. So always do your GCF first, and then you factor. This 3x minus 9, I see that there's a 3 that I can factor out of that. The other thing that I noticed from people's homework is people were canceling out wrong things. So you can think of each of these as having parentheses around them. So at the moment, these are my 4 factors, but I'm going to factor it down and make more of them. So when I factor a 3 out of that, that gets me an x minus 3. And then here in this denominator, I can make an ACB chart. So I need factors of negative 3 that add to negative 2. So I get negative 3 and 1. All right, so let's rewrite this more neatly. So I have x plus 3 on top times 3 times x minus 3. And in the denominator, this trinomial right here is going to factor as x minus 3, x plus 1, and then I'm going to rewrite my x minus 2. The x minus 3's, those are common factors that cancel each other out, and then I don't have anything else. So when I rewrite this, I would have 3 times x plus 3 in the numerator, and x plus 1, x minus 2 left in the denominator. Number 6. In the numerator, I have this trinomial. That definitely needs to be factored down. So I need factors of negative 3 that add to positive 2 this time. So that would be 3 and negative 1. So I'm going to factor that one down as x plus 3, x minus 1. And then I apparently need to switch it. And when I do the denominator, I need factors of negative 3 that add to negative 2. And now I have negative 3 and positive 1. X minus 3, x plus 1. So as it turns out, there is no factors in common between the numerators and denominators on number 6 because the pluses and the minus signs are in the opposite factor. And then this 3x plus 9, just like the number 5, I can factor out a 3, and that gives me 3x plus 3. All right, I'm going to clean this up so that you can see every factor in the numerator and every factor in the denominator. All right, so this is what everything looks like when it's fully factored. Once everything is fully factored, now you're in a position to cancel. The x plus 3 cancels with this x plus 3, and my x plus 1's cancel. And so my final answer is x minus 1 over 3 times x minus 3. I'm going to do number 8 next. Remember, when you divide, you multiply by the reciprocal. And our little 5th grade versions of ourselves said keep, change, flip. So I have my 2x over 3b, that's my keep. Change that multiply, or divide to multiply, and flip. That means I get, that's a 9, Amy. 9bx on top, and 10x to the third on bottom. Before you start canceling anything, I need to see this multiply by the reciprocal step. Now we're going to do what we did back on number 4. We're going to multiply straight across. So 2 times 9 is 18. I'm going to have that 1b, and then when I multiply my x's, I get x squared. Denominator, 3 times 10 is 30, and we have that 1b, x to the third. Now I can simplify this. I'm going to divide a 6 out of the top and bottom. That gives me a 3 on top and a 10 on bottom. Your b's cancel out. You subtract your x's. So I had more x's on bottom, so that means my answer is on bottom. And my final